behalf of the United Nations Resident Coordinator, it's my honor to address this gathering on the occasion of the 26th anniversary of the National Human Rights Commission of Nepal. The National Human Rights Commission and its staff have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights and to upholding the Paris Principles. The National Human Rights Commission of Nepal's consistent retention of its A status accreditation with the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions stands as a testament to the Commission's credibility, independence, and dedication to international human rights standards. This status is not only a recognition of achievement, but also a reminder of the continued responsibility to uphold the Commission's constitutional mandate with integrity, impartiality, and accountability. It reflects the highest standards of independence and reinforces public trust and confidence in the institution. Distinguished guests, as we reflect on the journey of the NHRC, it is equally important to look ahead at a crucial time for Nepal. The road forward calls for even stronger coordination and collaboration among constitutional bodies, commissions, communities, as well as deeper engagement with all three levels of government, which remain at the forefront of respecting, protecting, and fulfilling the human rights of all people in Nepal. Nepal has undergone significant change in recent years, reflecting growing public aspirations for accountable governance, transparency, access to quality public services, youth participation, and an end to impunity. These voices, expressed across society, demonstrate both frustration with long-standing challenges and hope for a more inclusive, just, and prosperous Nepal. As Nepal moves forward with renewed commitments to strengthening legislative frameworks and institutions, due process, broad consultation, and meaningful participation of stakeholders remain central to policy making and legislative reform efforts. Such approaches are crucial to ensuring sustainable change and democratic resilience in a very uncertain world. Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, I would like to acknowledge the Commission's diligence in addressing complaints and issuing recommendations on important human rights and policy issues. The Commission's investigation into the September protests is one example of the NHRC exercising its constitutional mandate with seriousness and professionalism. At the same time, investigations alone are not sufficient. Ensuring transparency, communicating findings to the public, and strongly advocating for the implementation of recommendations are equally essential to maintaining public credibility and trust. I would also like to take this opportunity to encourage the government of Nepal to further strengthen mechanisms that prioritize the implementation of NHRC recommendations. Such efforts would reinforce public confidence in the government's commitment to human rights. As of this year, only 15% of the NHRC's recommendations have been fully implemented. National human rights institutions are vital partners in advancing sustainable development, inclusive governance, and social justice. Strengthening the NHRC through adequate financial and human resources, as well as reimagining its institutional presence within Nepal's federal context, is essential for its effective functioning and, most importantly, its accessibility to all citizens. This collective effort will contribute to fostering a stronger culture of human rights across Nepal. Distinguished guests, past impunity contributes to present or future impunity. Nepal's efforts to advance justice, reconciliation, and human rights deserve recognition, particularly given the complexities of a post-conflict context. Important steps have been taken over the years to advance the transitional justice process, reflecting the government's continued commitment to addressing these sensitive and important issues. As these nationally led processes evolve, sustained dialogue and cooperation among all stakeholders will remain critical to ensuring their effectiveness and credibility. ensuring that victims' voices are heard and that processes remain transparent, inclusive and accessible, will contribute significantly to lasting public trust and social cohesion. The United Nations, with humility and respect for national ownership, remains ready to continue supporting Nepal in advancing this shared commitment to human rights, justice and dignity for all. Dear colleagues, the global human rights landscape is evolving rapidly, and traditional approaches alone are no longer sufficient. In this changing socio-political environment, the role of independent and impartial institutions is more important than ever. The NHRC Nepal must continue to remain vigilant, adaptive and responsive to emerging human rights challenges, including those related to climate change, business and human rights, digital governance, misinformation and disinformation, and the rights of marginalized communities. At a time when human rights norms and principles are increasingly under scrutiny, or almost we could also say under threat globally, we must remember that human rights are not abstract concepts. They are lived realities that must reach everyone, especially those who have historically been excluded or unheard, including Dalits, people with disabilities, indigenous people, gender and sexual minorities, youth, and other marginalized groups. Nepal has also demonstrated important progress in women's leadership, and it is essential to sustain this momentum through strategic and inclusive efforts. The guarantees enshrined in Nepal's constitution regarding participation and meaningful representation are commendable and provide a strong foundation for inclusive democracy. The full realization of human rights for those most at risk of being left behind is fundamental both to the inclusive democratic vision embodied in Nepal's progressive constitution and in the UN Charter. Upholding and fulfilling human rights must ultimately translate into tangible improvements in people's everyday lives. Let us therefore today renew our collective commitment to the cause of human rights with courage, clarity and compassion. The human rights ecosystem in Nepal can thrive only when institutions work together in synergy. Stronger engagement among the pillars of democracy represented here today, the legislature, judiciary, executive, constitutional bodies, civil society, grassroots organizations, and citizens themselves will undoubtedly make the Commission more relevant, vibrant, and impactful. On behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator and the UN Country Team in Nepal, thank you for the partnership to date, and we look forward to the next phase of our engagement. Thank you. Dhanyabad.